Naturally, this is for all cells, but this is for you, Conjoy, because I have shared a mountain of reality stream information with you, particularly as it relates to everything that I've experienced since I was a little boy, and why it was not a coincidence. Why, for example, I went right into wildland fire protection, right? And the first station that I went to work with had a weather station. So I was learning at a high rate of speed what are known as fire indexes. And you know what an index is, right? When you're indexing an intergalactic library of cellular memories, or universal cellular memories for that matter, right? And so one of the things that we had there in a little weather box, right, is we made several instruments. What we were doing is making measurements of atmospherics, pressure sensitive, right? Pressure sensitive. How sensitive are we, right? And so we, as I've showed you in a little diagram, right, we had little, which were like cylinders, but that were about, I think they were about a half an inch in diameter, that was made of pine, right, which is a softwood, not a hardwood. And it was dead, which means it's dead energy, right, dead light energy. And they were about 12 inches long, and there was, as I remember, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. And they were dowels, which means there wasn't any metal in it to hold it together at all. It was all wood, except one little Q, or like a question mark, that had a little tiny hole that you screwed into it, so you could put, as a hook, you could hang it on a weight. Okay. And so it would sit out about, I can't remember exactly, probably a foot off the ground, probably roughly right around in there. 6 to 9 inches. I don't remember the exact amount, but the number is important. Okay, on top of what are known as flashy fuels, which would have been dry grass, which means it's gone through what we call a curing stage, which is dead light energy, but it's in the ground, rooted in the ground, right? And so, and with pine needles. So what we would do is we used to measure what is known as the 120-hour fuel moisture, which means you're measuring the loss and gain of pressure, right, between low pressure and high pressure, and how much moisture is being retained when you get into transcribing, like transcription, RNA, DNA transcription, okay, of what we're experiencing over the course of 120 hours, which is what? 5 days between sun up and sundown, and how that relates to what's called wet bulb and dry bulb, which is known as a wet bulb temp and a dry bulb temp, and how that relates to humidity, and how that relates to what we call fire indexing, rate of spread, acceleration, combustion process, and how 3 and 45 degrees, like a 45 vinyl record, playing Elvis Presley, relates to what? 9, 3, 6, 9, or if you will, 4 quadrants, but with 2 hemispheres, which is a biosphere, right? Sound and light burn patterns to experience equidistance or equilibrium states, which means not experiencing any broken arrows and not experiencing any turbulent water. That means that your water world, the molecular balance between fire and ice, are in perfect balance, which are the 2 extremes in the electromagnetic spectrum, which would be the hottest temp and the coldest temp, right? Cryogenics on the full electromagnetic spectrum. Right? Acid and alkaline. Right? So I wanted to relate that because I jumped directly from that, because I went from being a firefighter to an engineer. And that engineer is called hydraulics. I was a hydraulic engineer. Ooh, so now we're going to plug in how water works. Yes. And how that relates, for example, to a hydrant. Right? When you want to put water on a fire and what we call steam conversion, right, to what? Cool the base, which is a point of origin, below what? Its ability to maintain or sustain what? Combustion. So you now have the fire triangle, which is heat, fuel, and oxygen. Then you have the tetrahedron, which is a gas that's burning. So there you have the flash point and the ignition point. And that is a torque speed differential between one and the other. You see the flash of light inside the womb when conception takes place. The fire, the gate opens. Whoa, what precision. You came into your mother's womb. Wow. Like that. Right? So to keep this sort of simple on just this one little subject that I wanted to do on hydraulics, or what you call electricity under pressure, right? It's called static. So in other words, when they plumb the system, an underground system that is doing what? Providing water. And it's under pressure, but it's not flowing, is it? It's capped, okay? So that would be like gain of volume and pressure versus high pressure, low volume, right? High volume, low pressure. So you begin to realize in hydraulics, the bigger the pipe, the less the pressure to deliver more volume, more sound and light. That's why it works with density that way, where the universe doesn't want to have to do any work in order to get around, to experience pure love everywhere we are in living spirit with an oversoul. So we're always looking for what? The pathway, the spiritual pathway to experience no density. Oh, no density. Yeah, of course. So you're experiencing pure fire, which is pure light, which is as pure as it gets, which is the purest sacred temple of light, which is the sacred temple of eternal love. That's the first internal. Internal. We're experiencing it internally. Who we are. I'm experiencing that through my heart and my soul.